Welcome to the Boston Ski Party, guys. How are you?
Doing well, thanks.
So we've never done this. It's for those who are listening, it's me, Garrett, and Giorgio from Ski Monster. And then why don't you guys go ahead and quickly introduce yourselves so we can have a good base to start here.
Well, I'm Alexi Godbout.
I'm Stan Ray.
And I'm Josh Daiek.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here. We've never done this before, like as we were explaining kind of prior to we were recording. This is kind of like a crowd. But we're going to make it work because we're going to make it work like I always do. So it's good. Yeah. It's good times. So you guys have been to Boston before? I know you definitely have because you've had segments here.
First time.
First time.
It's also my first time.
First time. Well, welcome to Boston.
Thank you.
Where do you guys reside normally?
I'm from Whistler in British Columbia in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, I live in Squamish, but I'm from the East Coast, but been living out west for about 10 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. And originally from Rochester, Michigan, Detroit area.
Okay.
And been in Tahoe for 20 years.
Nice. Okay, sweet. Whereabouts from the East Coast are you usually from?
I grew up in Trombley. Two parents are ski instructors, and
just
grew up skiing there.
Okay.
And,
He's a Québécois.
Yeah. You threw me off for a second. I was
This
like,
guy,
yeah.
You barely noticed the accent.
Tabernacle.
You give him like 3-4 beer, man. That's tea. It comes out of him.
What's your favorite Canadian beer?
Favorite Canadian beer? I don't know. We have too
Labatt.
many now. It's Labatt Blue.
Okay.
Best ever.
Okay.
Pilsner or Coconut?
Coconut.
Coconut.
No, probably Pilsner.
Fuck yeah.
You?
Pilsner or Kokanee? In
Coconut.
high school,
Maybe I just add the A.
I had in high school, I was part of the Kokanee crew, so I'm gonna have to go
Oh,
Kokanee.
hell yeah,
yeah.
dude. Hell yeah. Dude, my first experience with Kokanee was I was in Banff, and I was skiing Lake Louise with my wife and some friends from high school and their friends. And we took a couple runs. She's not like a big skier, and the conditions were kind of eh. And then it was like our first day there, and so we're at the bottom. I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to keep pushing this. And then literally Looker's left, there's like this little cabin, and it just said, there's like a big banner, just said Kokanee cabin on it. I was like, all right, well, let's go check out that. So I literally walk in, and it's literally, it's just blaring fucking hockey. There's like 8 TVs. It's just hockey, and there's just a bar with just Kokanee. And I'm like, all right, we're done skiing for today. Like, this is it. This is the spot. So that was my first introduction to Kokanee beer. I'm like, this is great. The Kokanee cabin at Lake Louise. It's pretty awesome.
Heaven.
That's pretty fitting, actually.
Yeah.
Considering it's in Lake Louise.
Considers it Lake Louise, yeah. That was my first time with Kokanee, and I mean, every time I go to Canada, I look forward to picking up a sixer. You know,
6er or 24?
It's a good question. Depending on how we're rolling with, I mean, probably most likely it'll be a 24. You know,
We don't have 30 racks in Canada.
I know.
Don't you?
Costco sells 48 packs. That's pretty impressive, actually. We had a friend that brought one of those packs on a camping trip last year.
48 packs.
Pretty
How do you?
good.
Was it the
handles?
Wait, yeah. How do you
It's
carry
the
it?
Kirkland.
He strapped it on a snowmobile, and a couple exploded along the way, but he did manage to get.
It's
most
the
of them.
Kirkland branded beer,
I
right?
was lucky, actually.
Okay, because I've seen the here in the States at least.
48 pack Coke.
But they do at Costco.
No, but like when you're at Costco and you grab the 48 pack of beer, like, are you carrying it more like a 30 or more like a 24? Is it more like a suitcase or more like a cube?
Right.
Bring a valet.
That's what the snow.
I think it's a suitcase.
That's what the snowmobiles are for.
suitcase.
It's literally a suitcase.
It's a suitcase.
Here,
Pretty heavy.
I'll be right back, guys.
Are you gonna go get a 48 pack?
No, I'm gonna go figure. I wish.
What are you gonna get?
I'm gonna go grab a microphone solution for Alexi because he just had a fire line, and dude, the switch is just kind of hard sometimes. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna go make sure that we catch everything you say.
Okay. Cool. Take your time.
We're gonna keep going with the
We
Okay, I love it.
We dragged in a few extras for this, so
We can always.
we're trying to make do with what we have.
It's all good. Again, we've never done this many people in one room before. It's kind of fun. It's gonna sound funny.
Sure, but it'll be fine.
It's gonna be funny.
Just a little extra work in post, and
Yeah, it's all good.
a lot of work out.
A little more editing. We try not to. We barely. We edit it a little bit, but it's for the most part we just record it, and like unless it's like we really have to cut something out, we will. But for the most part, it's like an hour and 15 minutes of just us fucking talking shit.
We have to cut out. It's like when we accidentally talk about like a future product.
Yeah.
Like they accidentally.
Yeah, if we did a meeting with somebody and they show us like next year's whatever, and we like say the name, we're like, oh shit, we can't really say that.
Right. Hasn't launched yet.
It hasn't launched yet, pretty much. So when did you move from East Coast to Pacific Northwest?
I moved in 2014. I was kind of done with competing, and I'd been there before. Like I moved to Whistler when I was 17.
Okay.
And lived there for a few years, but then I was just traveling too much. It wasn't really worth paying a rent or just staying out there.
Yeah.
And then done competing, moved there in 2014, and did one trip to CMH Monashees with Salomon, skied a whole week of heli skiing, and on the way back, I was like, you know what? I am not moving back to Quebec or the East Coast. I was like, I'm buying a snowmobile and then moving out west, and that's it.
Nice. And how long have you guys all been on Salomon?
I can answer first. I've been on Salomon since I was 11, and I'm turning 33, so 22 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah, crazy.
That's a good run, dude. Damn.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm at 10 years now.
Okay.
Full decade going on.
That's good. That's good too.
Yeah, it is good, especially considering I didn't get sponsored till I was 30. So,
congratulations.
The guy's 40 and charges harder than most 15-year-olds.
That's awesome.
I've also been on the team for 10 years.
Okay.
I grew up ski racing, and I retired from ski racing in 2012, and then started free skiing in 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of ski racing did you do?
I did alpine from 7 to 20, and then I raced 4 years of ski cross.
Okay. Oh, sick.
Yeah.
In Canada.
Yeah, in Canada. So I was on the provincial team when I raced alpine. Never made it to the national team, and then the first year racing ski cross, I won like the North American Cup title, and then I did 3 years racing on the World Cup circuit.
Okay.
Never did amazing, but had fun. But I got injured 2 years in a row and decided I wanted to try and be a free skier.
Got it. So you saw your dreams kind of fade a little bit in that regard, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna go ski for fun.
Exactly. Yeah. The only reason I was hanging on to the ski racing dream was because I wanted to go to the Olympics.
Yeah, totally.
And that was my dream. And then I realized I wasn't having that much fun anymore doing it.
Yeah.
And I was just hanging on for that dream. So I was like, you know what? It's probably time to veer off and try to go in another direction.
Cool.
Yeah.
And how about you guys? Any race background, or you kind of just jumped right into it?
Yeah, I raced. Well, both my parents were ski instructors, and my dad was assistant director of the ski school, so I'd always get like programs through the ski school for free with them.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid, so I raced from like maybe let's call it like 4 to 9 years old. Okay. And then I really didn't like the structure of racing, and I would like see the mogul team that were hitting jumps and kind of doing whatever they wanted at that point.
Yeah.
And so I'd always like ditch the class of like my racing group and go meet the mogul team. And then my dad would always get a call at the end of the day, like, we lost your son again. And he was like, oh, he's fine. He's with me. Like, just went jumping with the mogul team all afternoon.
Yeah.
And then Twin Tips came out, and that's kind of around like 10 years old. I like fully kind of switched to free skiing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. And how about you? What have you been doing since you took forever to get sponsored?
Well, well, yeah, like I said, man, grew up in Michigan. No race background. It's funny because we were just talking about it at lunch when Johnny Mosley did that mute grab 3 in the Olympics, and that was just kind of life-changing for me in a way because, well, put it simply, that was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that's so cool. I want to do that. I want to like learn how to jump and do tricks. And that's what kind of inspired me to start skiing. It was the time, a new Canadian Air Force was coming out with new tricks every day. And you're just kind of all this hype with Freeze magazine. And the free ski revolution was happening all the time when I was in high school and super impressionable. And it truly changed my life. And I was like, I just want to go out west and ski. And moved to Tahoe because my cousin was living there.
Yep.
Started skiing every day, full ski bum status. And the guys I was skiing with were competing on the free ski tour. This is before the free ride world tour.
Okay.
And they're like, dude, you should be doing these comps. You're skiing really well. And like, all right, like, I guess I'll do that. And my first comp, there was a Rozzy rep there and was top 5 against all the big dogs. You know, the Frenchies, Guerlain Chichery and Aurelien Ducrot, who were the big dogs of that time. And yeah, he came up to me, and the Rousey rep came up. He's like, "Hey, do you want some free skis? You're gonna do another comp." I was like,
Was this just like a big mountain contest?
"Yeah, big mountain comps."
Dope.
And I was like, "Holy shit! Really, I can get free skis for this?" And that kind of paved the way for me. So I started doing the free ski tour again. This is before a free ride tour. So I was doing the free ski tour for almost a decade. Started doing the free ride tour, and that's when I got picked up by Salomon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Man, Freeze Magazine, dude. Everyone remembers that fucking magazine, man.
Oh.
It was crazy.
I still have an immense stack of Freeze magazine
cool.
and like Freeskier magazines in my parents' house.
Yeah.
And they're still in my old room, just like stacked up.
It's awesome.
We got like probably 100 of them.
Yeah, I mean, and they would just drop off stacks of them at like ski shops too. I remember like the ski shop I worked at like in college, like you just have like stacks of like Freeze magazines, and like it was rad, you know? You're like, wow, this like they did a good job.
Yeah.
Like all the photo content in there was awesome. It was definitely like, it like hyped you up. When you read through it, you're like jazzed up to ski, which is pretty cool.
And also another, like, I just remember back then, obviously we didn't have social media and everything to like just
To pump it all the time,
constantly. Yeah. Like we didn't have it in the face all the time. So whenever a new magazine would come in the mail or something, or you knew like it was at the stores, you'd like go and grab it, and like, or like even the movies, like it would just, you'd see the progression of sport through these movies, and that's why they were so popular and awesome.
Yep.
And just not like it is today. But yeah, the good old days. It was
Yeah,
sick.
right.
It was so
back
sick.
when like ski edits were appreciated, and
Truly.
you know, rather than
So
just-
two things. Did you get it figured out or no?
yeah, I kicked George out.
Oh,
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, no, it's fine. That was a joke. I didn't actually kick him out. It was just too much with the amount of microphones and technology we have.
oh, okay.
So
So George is not coming back.
yeah, George isn't coming back. I wasn't going to tell them, so they sat that close to each other for the rest of the episode. But
Don't worry, we usually sit closer than this.
Well, we can like in the future now though. Like we can definitely figure this out. We just need one more mic.
I
and
think we
then
just need more
I think
microphone
if
capacity.
we honestly turn this couch a little, like, and we kind of angle it,
Yeah.
we can fit another chair. Like 1, 2, 3 chairs and the couch on an angle, because like the way that the shot is anyways, it's kind of like a crotch shot regardless. So if we turn it, all right, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, we don't.
All right, cool. I'm glad we did this, because now we actually have like a baseline of like how we're supposed to have more people in the pod room.
Yeah,
So this is
and
good.
getting thrown into the fire. That's how you learn.
That's
shit.
how we do it. Yeah, absolutely. Dude, so what do you think of Boston for your first time? Is everything
I think it's
in your
awesome.
wildest dreams?
He's a Canucks fan, by the way.
I am a Canucks fan, and yeah,
I mean, what's wrong?
not a
with that?
huge Boston fan.
I mean,
2011
2011. Who won it? Who won it in 11? Never forget.
in
Dude.
game. I got. All right, I'll throw a couple jokes around.
Let's hear it.
You guys know what time it is in Boston?
What time is it?
10 past Luongo. They scored 10 goals in the 2 games that they played in Boston.
Well,
Or maybe it
didn't
was-
end up with a ring. So
No. And then it was kind of sad because Luongo, after the playoffs, he sadly tried to commit suicide, but he jumped in front of a bus and it went through his legs.
This is the
This is
the
a Can-
comedy that
this
you
is
guys
a-
are missing in the
this
Blank
is-
Collective.
This is the Canucks.
the comedy. This is
this is
you're
a
working
Canucks
it out.
fan
You're working
making
it out.
fun of their probably the best goalie that the Canucks maybe have ever had. So
yeah,
and yeah, heartbroken. They lost in Game 7, and then our city decided to riot, which sucked. But
Were you there?
I'm
Were
still a
you
Canucks fan. I was
partaking?
not there, and I'm glad I didn't partake. We did have a friend that partook, and then
lit a couple cars on fire.
Yeah.
Got out of there.
Well, the only riots that we experienced.
He tried to get out of there. I'm not going to mention any names, but he tried to get out of there, and then he got interviewed. the
Ian
next day.
Costco. I'm kidding.
No, then he got interviewed the next day, or he gave a police statement. He's like, "No, that wasn't me. I didn't do anything." And then the next day, he was on the cover of the Vancouver Sun.
No shit.
Nice.
So he got busted red-handed. Anyways, that was
The
a
only
while
riots
ago.
that we experienced in Boston were the old Red Sox Yankee riots. Like when I was in college, they had them at UMass Amherst, and they had them at in Kenmore, right outside of Fenway. That was the peak, people going nuts for the Red Sox Yankee rivalry, which was fun to be a part of. At the time, being in college during that, which was super fun. I wasn't at the riot by any means, but it was still the hype train was real.
Oh, for sure.
It was wild. I remember that Stanley Cup too. It was pretty sweet. Georgia was actually, I think he was working at Gypsy at the time. He used to be a DJ in the city, a nightclub DJ. He was fucking really good, and he had a residency at this place called Gypsy Bar, and it was down near the Common. It was like one of the two like go-to nightclubs of the time, and I think he was there at the time. I might be fucking the years up. Anyways, I'm just gonna say that he was there, and Lucius came through that night. Like there was like the next night with the cup. Like
Wicked.
just like walked through the club. Like I was just there. I just look over and like they literally just ran in, like stood in the middle of the dance floor. Everyone went nuts and held head up, and then they just ran out.
That's
And
awesome.
they did that throughout the whole city. And I just remember being there, like turning over and being like just watching them like run out with the cup. I was like, is that the Stanley Cup?
That's
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Sick.
The stadium, like we went, just checked it out. It's so cool there. It's pretty impressive too.
Oh, the garden?
Yeah,
Yeah,
how
it's
big
dope.
it is. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
dope
it's cool.
spot.
All that like front entryway is brand new. It used to like kind of be like a dead zone there where like
Right.
you just entered the train station and it wasn't that exciting.
So-
but they really like crushed that.
So that front entry, the whole thing that you know, it looks really cool. That was to Dead Zone. To his point, it used to just be a parking lot.
Okay.
So that parking lot was the old Boston Garden.
Right.
So they built the TD Garden at the time. It was called the Fleet Center. They built it behind the old Boston Garden, and then they tore down the Boston Garden, and it was just a parking lot. And then up until recently, they revamped it, and it's obviously like fan zone, bars, restaurants.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
it's pretty cool.
Got the Bobby Orr statue up.
Yeah,
front.
Bobby Orr statue out front. It's pretty cool. And right now it's fun too because obviously both teams are really good. The Celtics and the Bruins are good. So everyone is hyped. It's always full.
That's awesome.
It's a good time. It's a good place. Unfortunately, there's so many people that are here that make too much money, so it's hard to get to a game without spending like $500.
Well, we actually
is
saw there's some tickets tonight for like $60 in the nosebleeds, but
Yeah, that's
and we're like
that's good.
we're bummed that our ski movie is playing at the exact same time. It'd be pretty fun to go watch.
Oh, it'd be
a game in
awesome
there.
because it's full, it's loud, it's a lot of fun. Speaking of your ski movies, you guys have done a bunch collectively, right?
9 movies.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you guys started the Blank Collective when? 14, 15, something like that?
Yeah, our first year doing it was 2015.
Okay.
No, 2015. Stan. He keeps arguing with me, but he has a bad memory, too many
We've
concussions.
made 9 movies and we're about to make our 10th.
Yeah, but
It'd be pretty hard to start in 2015 if you're making your 10th movie in 2024. Just saying, not mathematician, but
count the years. He doesn't listen.
I
Anyway,
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I think it's
It doesn't
moot.
matter. It's a floating time start. It's a floating time start.
Anywho, yeah,
14.
I
we
believe
started in 2015, and it was a bunch of us that basically didn't really have like a company to film with that year, and we collectively, with Josh included, Stan actually wasn't with us that first year.
That's why he doesn't remember.
Exactly.
that movie didn't happen.
Never existed. It was blank.
Oh, good one.
Yeah. Well, we just combined a bunch of money that we had through our sponsors and just made a movie with pretty minimal budget, Josh included, as I said, and with Casey Dean and a couple other people.
Nice.
And then, yeah, went to Europe, went to Japan, went to Alaska, and that kind of started the whole snowball effect to where we are now.
Yeah. So how did that idea come to be? Like, you know, obviously you were filming with other production companies prior, like right? But what came across to all you guys? You're like, you know what, this isn't working. Maybe we don't like X, Y, and Z. Let's do our own thing. Let's call it the Blank Collective. How did that whole thought process happen?
Well, it's not a blur, but it's kind of like, as I said, like we had no productions to film with, and we didn't want to like not do anything with our season. And there's no like reason why we wouldn't have been able to like make a ski movie. So we just started hiring filmers and like planning trips, and it was really just kind of, how can I say that?
Out of
Like,
necessity.
well,
It was out of necessity, essentially.
yeah.
Yeah. And as I remember, it was Casey Dean and Alexi were like hanging out that summer because they approached me like, hey, what do you think about trying to make our own ski film? We all kind of going collectively. And that's why it started as a collective, because it wasn't Salomon sponsored or sponsored by this company, sponsored by that company. It was kind of all like we all pooled our own travel budgets together. It wasn't like we had budget for a film. It was like we basically spent our own money to make it happen.
Nice.
Sick.
Kind of believed in ourselves and took that
And were you
leap
guys
of faith, and here we are.
you were outsourcing for filmers, hiring filmers just throughout the industry. And then was the editing on your plate, or you?
No, and then we hired an editor as well, and then Casey kind of directed like the film through the summer. I ended up blowing my knee at the end of that year, so I ended up going back to Quebec for all my rehab, and so Casey kind of took that role that year and just directed the film through the summer.
Nice.
Went back and forth to Vancouver, like meet with the editor, and then we had a movie coming out that fall, and
Cool. Yeah, we know Casey as well. He's a good dude. Because he used to ski when he was skiing, he used to ski for Fisher. Because Berkowitz at the time was working for Fisher, and so Casey was one of his athletes. And so like when we would go on dealer trips and stuff with Matt, like he'd have Casey there, and so we spent quite a bit of time with him. He's a good dude. I like Casey. Now, and we tried to get him here this year, but because he drove through here on his motorcycle. On his like soul searching trip or whatever the hell he was doing. But yeah, but it didn't work out. I was like, Berkowitz, when he like comes through, just have him stop by and we'll chill and maybe he'll do an episode. And he's like, well, he's not like in the ski thing right now. I'm like, so what? Just have him come by. He's literally driving by, so didn't work out, unfortunately, but I haven't seen him in a minute.
Dina's a good dude.
He is a
We
good
all have been friends with him for a long time. I met him competing.
Mm-hmm.
These guys lived in Whistler in the same vicinity as him, so
Yeah.
we've all spent a bunch of time with him. Solid dude for sure.
Yeah, super solid dude.
Hilarious.
He's very funny.
He's a funny dude, witty.
He's very witty.
Fun to hang out with.
Yeah, he's the man. So all right, so after that first year, I mean, it was probably kind of like a crazy learning experience, right? Like coming off of like filming for other people. Now out of necessity, you're basically like, oh shit, like we need to make a ski movie, but there's no reason why we shouldn't. You go and you do it, right? So then what happens? Movie comes out, directs it, cool, and you're like, how do we make this a real thing? It's not just a flash in the pan type of a situation.
Yeah, so basically, movie comes out, we have all the premieres and everything, and it's somewhat successful. Like, people are pretty hyped on it, and it's new. Like, it's a whole new crew that kind of comes out with a shorter, I think we're making like 20-minute movies at that point.
Okay.
And we did all the, most of the festivals. I think we did like High Fives, IF3, like all these kind of mainstream festivals that we had like connections to.
Yeah.
And coming the next year, we're like, well, shit, like, might as well do it again.
Yeah.
And then Casey was supposed to be involved, unfortunately for us, but he had an opportunity with Level 1, so he moved on to filming with them. And then Salomon came in with a bit of a bigger number that year, so it was kind of a more like Salomon orientated movie. We had a couple other people in there as well.
Yep.
And yeah, just kind of started that, as I said, that snowball effect that led us to 9 years later.
Nice.
Yeah, and really from there, Alexi really took the reins and, started doing all the, with the help of our buddy Jeff Thomas,
Yeah.
as a mentor, and took Alexi under his wing and showed him the ropes of editing. And now Alexi's filming as well, and skiing and producing and all the things. This guy's killing it.
He edited the whole movie by himself this year, which is super.
That's awesome.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he did a super good job with it.
Do you feel?
He wears-
Do you
he wears
feel
many
like
hats.
do you feel like a movie maker now after all these years? Are you like, I can actually make a ski movie, or are you still sitting in front of the computer like, what the fuck am I doing?
No, I mean, a little bit, but I mean, it is overwhelming when it comes to movie production because it's so many hats to wear and so many different angles to try to get shit done and to make him have him done well as well is very challenging. But Jeff Thomas, that Jeff you mentioned, was a massive help, and he's a wizard at what he does, and it was really awesome learning from him because when it came to workflow or how to organize projects and how to talk to sponsors or whatever it might have been for either production or post-production, it was, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better guy to show me the ropes really. And then this last winter or in the fall, he was like, oh, I'm doing my own thing this year. Basically you've got this, you're ready. I'm shitting my pants. What am I going to do?
Take the training wheels off.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, take the training wheels off. But pulled it off, and yeah, I'd love to keep doing this. And, as kind of...
So as somebody that doesn't know anything about making movies, right? No idea. And I was someone that didn't know anything about making movies, like yourself, up until pretty recently. What are the things outside of the obvious things? What are the things? Because I could tell you about retail, until I'm blue in the face on the things that you don't think about when you start your own retail store. But when you decide, hey, we're gonna make these movies, like what in the weeds, like what's the most difficult thing to make happen? Like, is it like finding the location? Is it getting people to the location? Is it getting the shots at said location? Is it the weather? Is it getting sponsors? Is it getting athletes to be sponsors so they can go? Like what's the most challenging component of doing something like this?
Well, personally for me, I think is like the budget part is kind of a big challenge because I mean, when we're in the field, like we've all been skiing together for so long, and with our crew, with our filmers or whatever it might be, we're like used to like making shit happen. And I think like on the field, like when we're in there and like we're like filming, that's never the issue. Like we know how to get things done typically. Sometimes you bring on new people and it's more challenging
and other stuff like that you can't predict or whatever. But
so many variables, but. As far as like movie making and like itself, like the post production I think was the biggest thing for me this year as far as movie making to like kind of pull it out of my ass, you know, like it was.
And are
quite
you
challenging.
doing like everything from top to bottom, like titles, color, music?
So I did usually even in our previous movies, we'd outsource for sound design and like. Color Jeff did for the most part. I outsourced this year for color, but in graphics like VFX or whatever it might be. But like for the like main titles and actually putting the entire movie together and like the final touches and everything, that was me, and that was definitely a lot of work. Yeah, like hundreds of hours,
1,000%.
countless hours. Yeah.
And how does it work with music? Like so, obviously, you know, you have to get the rights to put it in the movie.
Of course.
So how does that work? Obviously, you can be like this song in this segment's gonna be sweet. Like the process of like getting permission has got to be kind of a pain in the butt, right?
Yeah, it can definitely be a pain in the ass. Depending on who you're dealing with. If you're going with bigger labels, it's for budgets like that. Let's say we have to make movies. It's like almost impossible.
Yeah.
This year I sourced out 2 songs from 2 different like punk bands in Montreal. They're like super underground. And ended up being like awesome to work with them and easy to work with as well. And then there's like licensing websites like artlist.com or Marmoset or there's so many of them. But then it's funny because you choose these songs, and then I was at High Fives the other day and in France for the festival, and in one day I heard the same song in 3 different movies. That were from Artlist.
Yeah,
so it's always kind of the double-edged sword of like cheaping out on music and like everybody having the same access to the same music.
Having something original.
Original. I've seen a lot of people like work with like one composer, and they'll do the entire movie, and then you get an original soundtrack. It might not necessarily be like super varied, and especially when you have a like multi-segment movie, you kind of want to like vary the style. Or maybe not, but it just depends what the movie.
Or if it's closer to like an hour plus, like I mean, you got to have some kind of change of pace,
of course,
right? If it's like a 20-minute or like a 25-minute, 18-minute kind of clip, you're like, okay, yeah, you can work with one guy or gal.
Exactly.
But if it's like, you know, and everyone has a different vibe to the segment, like you have to mix it up.
Yeah, exactly. So
you don't have to. I mean, it's more entertaining if you do, you know?
For sure. And everybody has different styles or taste in music.
Yeah.
And it's very subjective, but I feel like, you're just gonna do your best and hope that people like it.
Yeah.
But I think it went pretty well.
Well, because I mean, I from a fan's perspective, the movie you guys did, I think it was in 21 or 20. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong because you'll know. The Tales of Cascadia.
Tales from Cascadia,
Yeah, 21.
Yeah.
So that soundtrack was really good.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Because like that soundtrack had like a lot of life songs. My wife likes to call them life songs. Basically like music that like you listen to loud by yourself, you know, like headphones, or you're just standing in front of a sound bar and you're maybe kind of buzzed and you're just like, takes you like a different realm. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like that movie, it's had a ton of that kind of style of music to it. Which like for me, I gravitate towards that, especially when you're watching something that's like kind of entrancing you anyways. So like that start to finish, even like that last segment it was like some kind of hip hop with like a fucking housey. Yeah. It was good, man. And
Yeah,
who,
are the
I don't know
good.
who skied that last segment, but like I can't remember.
It was it was at Century Lodge.
Yes.
Golden Alpine Holidays. It
Yeah.
was like kind of it was Hoji, Stan, Rubens, and myself.
It was cool.
Okay.
I mean, the whole movie was cool, but like that just obviously it sticks out in the sense because like you always remember like the beginning, the middle, and the end. You don't really remember like the the other part. So like that, to end it like that was pretty cool. That movie was great.
Yeah, and then
by the
Stan
way.
at an absolute nasty pillow line at the end where he like just finishes, looks at the camera, he's like, yeah, I'm kind of shaking.
Oh, so
right
yeah,
now."
that was you.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So when you were like, that wasn't even, you're like, that was, I'm shaking. But you were kind of like, didn't know how to describe what you were doing. It was pretty funny. It was awesome. It was a great line.
Yeah. It was a good line. It was super techy and like you didn't want to fall there.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
rocks everywhere.
Yeah.
Pretty thin.
And
But it
that was
it
where
fun.
again? Where was that?
Century Lodge, which is like between Revy and Golden.
Okay.
It's a heli. You heli into the lodge, and then everything when you're up there is ski tour access.
Okay,
And
sweet.
it's like, it's the most productive place I've ever gone to film. And usually we're filming off sleds, and that's pretty productive.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Everything was just right there. Like those lines we skied at the end of that segment were like a 5-minute ski tour from the lodge. Like you literally go across this ridge, and then you drop down, then you have to ski tour back up to the lodge.
Yeah,
How many
I was
days-
gonna ask you guys that because I've always been curious. Like, what is the best way to actually get shots? You know, because it's like you said, sled. Is it having a helicopter, being in a sled, or is it literally just ski touring to the line, doing it, and then lapping back? I mean, what's the most effective way?
I've never filmed from a helicopter, but I think I think filming from a helicopter can
I can imagine
be
filming
pretty
from a helicopter.
productive.
You gotta think that's the most productive.
Because I mean, you
Back up
see
top
like
in 30
a lot of
seconds.
the times we go to a zone and then
Yeah.
there's no light there or there's a bit of fog or something, and they're like, oh, we should be over there. With a helicopter, you can get over there in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Where with a sled, you can get up there. Like, depending, it could be like 2 hours. You're
Right,
over there.
right.
But the most productive I've filmed was ski touring, the Century Lodge, just because everything is so close together, and it's like everything's within like a 10-minute ski tour here or there. And like by the time it worked well because there's 4 of us, and by the time like one of us had skied a line, the other one was like halfway back up ski touring for the line. So like the filmer was just moving along, and by the time you're ski touring back up, your 3 buddies are skiing lines.
Yeah.
So it was like continuously rotating, and it was
cool.
super productive.
I gotta
And
say
think-
that's probably the best way to film too. I think just
Yeah.
because it's like it's a more intimate experience.
Yeah.
You know, you're like ski touring up and getting a good side angle of the cliff you want to hit, or maybe the crux, or you get all these different vantage points on it.
Yeah, it helps
Versus
to
like
see it, right?
sledding sometimes, you just stand at the bottom and you're like, I think like come off like a little bit right, or this or that, you know, whatever it may be. But then you're like kind of rolling the dice a little bit. You've got a pretty strong understanding of what needs to happen. But when you're ski touring, you really like, you're like, I'm just going to walk over there a little bit and get a better look at that. And then we'll ski tour up the side and then get another look at it. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
I can imagine too. And then, and then you can literally just kind of shuffle zones like as you go, right?
exactly.
Basically, just like you hit it, whoever's filming can literally just like shuffle over, and then you're like, all right, dude, just lap that again, and you get the best shot.
So for that closing segment when you guys were at the Century Lodge, how many days are you out there?
We were out there for 10 or 11 days, I think, that one stint, or maybe even more, maybe like 12 days. It was it was COVID year, and 10 days, yeah.
10 days.
It was COVID year, and most of the lodges in BC and then probably around North America in general were empty because people kept canceling because someone had COVID, and then
Right.
the whole group would cancel. So we got the call that the lodge was free, and we just showed up there for
Hell yeah.
a solid week and a half, and it was
Sick.
amazing.
Not a bad way to spend lockdown, right?
And then
I was stuck in the States.
Oh,
Oh, bummer. Bummer. That sucks.
Yeah.
well, it
I would've
depends
loved
on
to have
what
been
state.
there.
It was a
that.
hard border at that time too.
That was a hard border.
Hard
That was a
border.
hard border.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a big no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was unfortunate.
And then what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, just going back a little bit to when you started filming Blank Collective movies, and this is more a question for Alexi, because I know you guys have been kind of backcountry guys forever, right? You made the transition from more like park slope style. Was that when you had started Blank Collective, had that already happened, or were you kind of in the process of
Yeah,
doing that?
yeah. Well, it already started. So 2014 is when I moved to Whistler full time.
Or,
2013 was my last year sort of competing,
okay.
and didn't go over super well. It was just like injuries. I kept getting injured, and basically at the end, I was just like over it and kind of not following progression,
Mhm.
and decided to move to Whistler, more Pemberton actually, but yeah, Whistler area,
Yeah.
and bought a snowmobile. I was pulling my sled with the little Honda CRV with a trailer.
Dope.
And
Ask him how his first day snowmobiling went.
How was your first day snowmobiling?
Well, I've never owned a 2-stroke engine before, and I didn't know you have to add oil. So actually, Casey, we were talking about earlier. He's like, "Hey, do you put oil in your sled?" I'm like, "No, yeah,
what's
sure."
oil?
Well, yeah,
up, bitch, you
basically.
cooking?
But no, I was like, because when you bring your car to the garage, they'll like fill it up for you and get an oil change or whatever. I thought that was the same principle with a sled. Anyways, we get out to the zone and we're on the way back, and then all of a sudden my sled starts beeping with all the different lights on there, and then goes to dead stop, and then my engine was seized. So that was a good $2,500 first day experience.
That's awesome. How'd you get it out of there?
We just towed it.
Towed it?
Yeah,
$2,500. That's cheap.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's a $13,000, $15,000 mistake today.
yeah, basically.
More than that if it's a
Yeah.
brand new sled.
But anywho, 2014 was kind of my first. I'd always done since I was 15. Actually, when I filmed at Playhouse Films back in the day from Quebec, that was my first real backcountry experience. I would say.
Yeah.
Where they brought me out to Sonora in California, picked me up at the airport. My mom brought me to the airport, and then Sedona.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, these guys have an inside joke. And then. Yeah, just went to Sonora Pass, and they'd already built this 100-foot jump, and it was my first backcountry jump, and so
Sick.
just kind of went into it there. And then always year after year, there's a tiny little bit of powder here and there, especially with Salomon, since they're, park and freeride orientated.
Yeah.
And 2014, first year, sort of moving to Whistler, learning the ropes with the sleds and all that, and it was challenging, but went pretty well. And then 2015 was the first real year that kind of went to Japan and kind of had a whole season of filming in the soft powder and not hard park landings.
Yeah.
So thinking about that, right? Because just from a product standpoint, because like you said, you've been with Salomon for 20 years, and then when you're transitioning from the park pipe slopestyle type stuff, that stuff was so hot at that time. For the market, right? Everyone was building freestyle skis. You went to a ski shop, they're this is our twin sip section. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Totally. For a while.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say the pocket rockets.
Pocket rocket,
I
yeah,
remember
but
the pocket rockets
yeah.
being the sickest thing. I was still ski racing at the time too. I'm like, man, I want those powder skis.
We were just talking about that. How that name was fucking one of the best names in the history of ski names, and how the fact that someone doesn't have a pocket rocket 99 blows my mind.
They're setting on.
How do they not have a family of skis? That's a whole other conversation.
For
But
sure.
it's such a
Talk
good
to the
name.
marketing team.
It's
Get
such a good
Dakota
name.
in here.
But I was saying, in the sense of that was such a whole vibe. 2010 to 2014, that was what was being built. That was what was being marketed. That's what the kids wanted. Everyone's on TV.
Tall tees.
Yeah. Tall tees, absolutely. And then literally from fast forward 9 years where we are now, right? That's MIA. That's gone. And so for you to go from that kind of world and then to where you are now, the product kind of transitioned with you.
Totally.
Which is
and
kind of funny.
I was lucky enough to be with a brand that I can actually follow that progression along with.
Yeah.
And
So from your perspective, going from that kind of product to now
tall tees.
Mavericks and Bents and that whole thing, that's got to be kind of a cool
Dude.
slow transition all the way to where we are today.
You made the whole industry pivot.
full on. Yeah.
What, dude?
Actually by himself.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You realize what you're responsible
no.
for?
Keeps blowing my. Sorry.
No, but it's kind of
blows my
funny
mind.
if you think about it. Because
Honored.
Well, it's just kind of the natural progression, right?
Yeah,
It's
totally.
when we're all younger, we want to hit jumps and catch airs and stuff like
but
that.
there's kids that are young now.
Yeah.
Right.
We're
But the skis aren't
sending-
being but they're not being marketed. It's different now.
It's different.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember in the early 2000s, every resort was trying to get in the magazine for having the sickest park.
Yeah.
And so it didn't matter what ski resort you went to, you're going to be like, oh, let's go check out their jumps. Let's
Yeah.
go check out the rail park. Let's
Yeah.
go check this out. And it was sick. It didn't matter where you went. It was, I think it was the coolest time in the industry. Like I was talking about in that early 2000s, that boom was
It was crazy.
the free ski
and then-
revolution. It was epic.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, Mount Snow, they built a whole peak that's just a park.
Yeah.
During
True.
that time. That time sparked them to we need to build Corinthians. We need to build a whole area that's literally top to bottom just a park.
The crazy part too, when I think back of then and now, and being in places where I've been before, but now I go for like a completely different purpose.
Yeah.
Is going to, like, let's say in California or in BC. Tahoe, for example, because I've been there like for a dude tour or for whatever it might have been where I was competing, or Mammoth, because I lived in Mammoth for a season, or even Whistler. And you like back then was like only park, like morning to evening. It was like you just shred the park all day, learn new tricks, and that's all you're hyped on basically. And that's all you're really looking on the mountain is like the park.
Yeah.
And now going back to these places and like looking elsewhere, because I obviously have like a completely different eye on skiing, and looking at all these mountains that were actually surrounding me, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this has been around me this whole time. Like,
You didn't even see it before.
no,
You didn't even see it before. You're
You
just like
wouldn't-
looking. You're like right to the park.
You would look at a big mountain with rocks, and then now you're looking at a big mountain with rocks, being like, oh, like these lines, this line's sick, this line's sick.
Right.
Oh, this cliff's so sick. That has such a good tranny, and yeah,
It's cool.
completely different.
My mom tells this story way funnier, but she always brings up how she, when I was in high school, she brought me and my brother out to Park City. She was like, you motherfuckers spent the entire week on that lift that's right at the base. You did not make it past the park at all. You did the exact same thing you do at home.
Yeah, she just stayed at Loon, dude.
And I'm like, the park's not the same. It's softer out here.
No, the snow's way better. You don't get it, Mom.
It's not bulletproof ice. What?
Yeah, right. It is. Yeah, I'll stand by that. It's different. But
It's kind of funny because we always went to races, and then you did bad at a race. You like, especially when I raced ski cross, you don't qualify, and everyone would be like super bummed, mope around, and then the next day they went skiing. We're like at these 6 ski resorts, and I'm like, why isn't anyone skiing? I'd go out and not qualify, and I'd be like stoked because I get to go ski like this sick resort that I've always wanted to ski, and we're here, pretty much getting paid for to be there. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go free skiing all day. Yeah. Maybe I wasn't the greatest teammate cheering on my teammates, but whatever. I was.
Yeah, you had your eye on a
Skiing
different
pal.
prize,
Yeah, it
dude.
was
You had your
awesome.
eye on a different prize, man. I like it.
But my going back to the freeze, I remember like there's a sick picture of it was John Reedy doing a massive mute grab out of the half pipe, and I think it was at Super Park. Yeah, I think that was like, I don't know. That's kind of like the start of what really made me want to switch from like racing to being a free skier.
Like a pivotal moment for you.
Yeah, I think my actual pivotal moment, can't say it. Pivotal moment
Say it in French.
was when I watched High Society, and I was 14. So I raced for 10 more years after that movie. But I watched High Society when I was 14, and I saw like Seth Morrison doing massive Lincoln loops and backflips, and I'm like, that's what I want to do.
You got your juices going, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm gonna aspire to be.
Complete change of topic. But
Yeah, no, it's all good. No, there's no top. We're just chatting.
yeah, there's if you guys are into it sounds like you'd be into this. There's some Instagram out there. No idea who runs it. It's called Retro Twin Tip Mags.
Oh yeah, I follow
it's
that.
dope, dude.
Yeah, and then
Yes.
those guys cyber ski or something. You see that?
Yeah,
recently?
he's doing sick content.
shit's
like
sick,
he'll do like voiceovers of
Yeah,
just
exactly.
old ski stuff.
Yeah.
You play
old,
that
old movie segments and stuff.
guess the ski graphic game.
Yeah, that was pretty
Yeah.
good. I didn't guess it right, but
Guess the ski graphic.
actually another topic we haven't
Yeah.
talked about.
Oh, okay. So what's it? I'll follow right now. What is it?
Cypher ski.
Is it Cypher or Cyber?
No,
Something like
I
that.
think Cypher.
Is it? Anyways, you might have to.
I don't
surf it for
know.
us.
Yeah.
All right. So what were you gonna
Fact
say, bro?
check it.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say another topic that nobody really knows, but Stan is actually Swiss, so his first language is
Oh,
French
yeah.
as well.
Oh.
He was giving me shit for being French, but when he was 9 years old, 8 years old,
I moved to Whistler when I was 8.
yeah.
So you were born in Switzerland, moved to Whistler.
Whistler, yeah.
Okay.
Straight from Whistler.
How
My
did-
mom's French.
What was that? What was the reason for that?
My parents, some of my parents' friend moved to Pemberton, which is just outside of Whistler. And they came and visited, loved the area, loved how friendly people were. And they were running a bakery at the time. And they were a little stressed. My dad was a baker, so he would start baking at like 10 at night, and he'd come home at like 5:30, 6 in the morning. And then he'd sleep like most of the day. And then my mom was busy running the cafeteria from like 8 till 5.
Okay.
So they didn't get much time to spend with the kids. I have 2 older sisters, and I think they just wanted to change of life, and they literally just sold the house, kept the bakery, but they visited, sold the house, and then bought a house in Whistler and never looked back.
Nice. It's
Pretty bold
cool.
move. I
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
is
They
a
were like
super
like
bold move.
mid-30s. I was 8,
Yeah.
10, and 12.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they didn't really speak English. None of us spoke English.
Yeah.
It was super easy for us to learn English because when you're kids, you don't really care. You go up to the neighbors to go play basketball, speaking zero
Yeah.
Zero.
It just comes to you.
words, and it comes to you super quick. And my
Yeah.
parents still struggle with speaking English.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool. That's a
Yeah.
cool story.
and I mean, I went from one ski town to another, so
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
pretty similar.
Pretty similar.
Didn't change much for me.
All right, well, let's keep going because I know you guys are kind of a tight schedule here, and we're kind of pushing the limits. So I want to ask you guys about the tour, obviously. One thing that's like kind of cool for me, anyways, as a fan of like ski movie tours, is that like I like that it's not because Level One was just here and they just did it too. How there's like a collection of movies. And I think that's fun because, like, you know, we talk about ski music in a movie, like different segments have different attitudes, different styles. Like the movies have the same, right? So like you go and you don't just get one feature, like there's a bunch. And for you guys, I'm not sure, what is it, 4 or 5? 4 films? 4 films? So
Yeah, 4.
Yeah. So you get to go, you get to see 4 films, 4 different styles. I mean, as a fan, that's pretty rad. I guess my question for you is who decides the order of the films? Does it change per stop? Who decides the stops? How does that go? Walk me through that.
That's a question for Dakota. And,
Yeah.
and Drew.
Bring Dakota in here.
Yeah, I think it's. I think Drew kind of runs the show there. Drew Peterson's been
Okay.
kind of at the head of the project since day one. You know, I don't know that he necessarily picks the locations, but as far as order of films to play and playing the crowd, he does a great job on it. He's a great MC and gets up there, and
Okay.
everyone has a good time. He's funny and witty, so
Nice.
yeah. But yeah, I think Drew is kind of the ringleader in a lot of ways on it. Like I said, as far as the actual shows, but as far as stops, I think there's a little more behind the scenes going on.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Curious. I'm always curious about that because obviously, like, you gotta kind of read the room, read the crowd, see what
Yeah.
people are into or whatever. And like, if one stop doesn't work with the order of operations, you gotta pivot, and figure out, all right, well, that didn't fucking work, So I've always been curious, as someone that sits in the seats and watches them. So
Yeah, and I think like you were saying too, the cool thing about the tour is that we do have 4 unique films that are completely different and different styles. So maybe like you're saying, if you play this film and the crowd's just kind of dead, maybe you like bring the blank film in, which is more high energy, it's
Right.
gonna get people more fired up, and then you can kind of go back to a more documentary style film after that or something. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So your new movie, Fortune Hunters, sick name, really sick name.
Thank you.
Let's talk about that because obviously that's why you guys are here. Who came up with? Yeah, that's the is it not? Oh, it's for Solomon.
Yeah,
it's,
thought you guys
it's
were
Joe
here for the-
Johnson.
I
It's
thought you were
it's
going to the Bruins game.
yes.
Yeah, no, that's what we were here for.
Nosebleed, $60.
I mean, I'll go with you guys
I made
if you want.
$60 eating 50 Timbits, or not Timbits, whatever they're called.
Munchkins.
Munchkins.
What did you call them?
They're called Timbits in Canada.
Hortons. Tim
Tim
Hortons.
Hortons. They're called Timbits.
It's like basically
Timbits.
Canadian Dunkin'
Timbits.
Donuts, dude.
I made $60.
I
I
like
might as well
Tim
spend it
Hortons.
on the hockey game.
I wish we
Yeah.
had it. True.
I mean,
You get one beer.
Timbits is definitely more of like. I mean, that makes more sense for. I mean, Munchkins is just it's an absurd thing to call them.
Munchkins are like little, yeah.
Yeah, the little
How
people.
do you actually feel now after 50 munchkins
Wait. You ate 50 munchkins today.
That's right.
in 25 minutes?
We're not talking
50,
about that.
54 actually.
That's impressive, dude.
Your stomach is gonna have to be pumped.
Was it an assortment?
Yeah, it was an assortment. It was horrible. But I
50?
right out of the gate, I noticed that the chocolate ones and the blueberry ones were like super dry.
I didn't know that.
So I'm like, I'm gonna eat all those right now, and I'm gonna eat them with water, and then at the end I'll have like the nice doughy ones that are easier to eat.
Did
And
you?
it
Was
was
it
horrible.
the glazed chocolate or the chocolate covered?
glazed chocolate?
Dude, those are
He called it
gas.
blueberry desert as well.
Blueberry.
I mean, we made an edit. You'll see it at some point on Instagram.
Sick. I'll keep an eye out for that. Are you showing it tonight?
We should have done an Instagram live, really.
We should have done it.
you
We should have
really
done it
should've.
live right now.
Actually,
You should have promoted it.
We should have been doing the questions, and you should have been eating them the entire time.
There's
Hold up.
actually a Dunkin'
There's still
Donut down
time.
the
We
street.
saw the Dunkin' down the street. Let's
There's
do
a
it
Dunkin' on
Tuesday.
every street
I
corner,
told
so
Drew
don't worry about that.
we're actually going to forego showing Fortune Hunters tonight, and we're going to show the 25 minutes of Dunkin' Donuts.
Dude, or you could just do it live. You think you got 50 more in you today?
Definitely,
That's in a
definitely-
couple
definitely
hours.
Not, definitely not.
Come
That's-
on.
that's really impressive.
I think if we all throw $20
That
at
is
it, he'd probably go
insane.
for round 2.
If the whole entire crowd threw $20 at it, I'd do it for sure.
I mean, you'd
That's
be an
not-
Whole
idiot.
TD
No,
Garden, that's
that's
not happening.
whole TD Garden.
Oh,
That's
we're
a lot
on
of
the hockey
money.
game now.
Yeah.
Back to
We're all
Steelers.
over the
No,
place.
no, this is great.
But we're all over
I
the
wish
place.
I would have known this prior, because then I would have said, just wait. I'll throw in some, like everyone, we would have all thrown in more money for you to do it live. Would have been better.
I didn't know we
Next
were
time.
doing like eating contests. I would have
next time.
absolutely thrown
Now,
money.
Stan
at
is
that.
like famous for like doing like super smart decisions for bets.
For bets.
Little bits of money.
So
Yeah.
in college, my college roommates and I, well, a couple of people partaked that thought they could win, but we had a WWE belt. It was called the Dollar Menu Champion. So basically, what you did was like you go head to head with somebody. You have to get everything off the dollar menu at McDonald's, and then you start at the same time, and whoever wins, whoever eats everything completely first, wins the belt. We call it the dollar menu challenge, and it was like, as a spectator, like going to the restaurant and watching people compete. I mean, it was electric.
I was going to
Oh,
say,
It was
did you
absolutely
win?
electric.
Did you compete?
No, I never. I knew I couldn't win,
Dude,
So I didn't compete. But I did.
Can the European mind comprehend the dollar menu challenge?
I mean, he just ate 50 Munchkins.
That's true.
I actually also have I did another bet at McDonald's for $20, which was stupid because they had their 100th anniversary and they had like a 50-cent cheeseburger.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy's like, if you can eat 20 of those, I'll pay you $20. And I'm like, okay, how much time? And he was like, 20 in half an hour. So I'm like, done.
Holy
I ate
shit.
20 cheeseburgers, and like literally, I think I lasted like a minute and a half, and then I puked everything out.
But you finished 20.
20 burgers.
Dude, that's
That
incredible.
is gnarly.
That is really good.
Wasn't worth it.
Can you talk about the?
What else
This
we
is
got?
impressive. This
I know
is
Stan's got some amazing stories. What about the bet at Panorama? Can you tell us about that?
I had a lot of bets at Panorama. Which one?
I mean, there's clearly
sucks.
one.
No, there's yeah. Maybe I won't talk about the other ones. For actually, the sock one's not that bad. It was minus 20,
okay.
and they dared me to hike up the first lift. It was called the 1 mile lift. Hike up the 1 mile lift, take a photo of the top. This is before iPhone, so I had like a little point and shoot camera. And all I could wear, I was wearing sweatpants, ski boots, obviously, sweatshirt, and then I had socks for gloves. And it was minus 20 out.
And what did you get?
I think it was like $60.
Man, you got a low bar, dude.
I
bump
also
up- you
did.
gotta
I
bump up
also
your
did
rate,
one.
bro.
I also
Low
did one. I
bar.
actually regret this one, and it's like this is the grossest one I've ever done, but it was for $120, and I thought it was worth it. I had a buddy eating Spitz in the car, and he told me to eat if I ate the whole Spitz cup of Spitz
Yes.
of like chewed Spitz.
Yes.
I get $120. I'm like, no problem. And I just chewed through
Dude.
like a big cup. That was disgusting.
That is
disgusting.
rugged.
$120 though. It's worth it.
I mean,
It took me-
120.
Took me 10
at
minutes.
least you leveled up
Took me 10 minutes.
your
At
price.
at
with that
least
one.
you're
My parents-
you're putting more value into yourself
Yeah.
as these
My parents
challenges
would
get
send
more
me on these
narrow.
like road trips with like $300, and I'd come back with like $500.
Yeah.
I was
Like,
making
he's so
money.
good with money.
Get this kid in the stock market.
Call him an entrepreneur, if you will.
All right, hold up. Let's finish because we need to talk about your movie. So, for Fortune Hunters, how did you guys come up with that name? First of all, because it's pretty awesome. And then, what was kind of like the inspiration behind the new project this year?
Okay. So we started the year. We actually had a completely different concept for the year, and as the year kind of went on, we had a guy that was working with us on the script, and the more we're kind of filming, the more it kind of made sense to do more of like a spaghetti western, like bit of a western twist to the film, and just basically turn it into that. And we're all on the West Coast. It's all kind of rugged land, and bit cowboy-y. So
Yeah, definitely.
Our original idea was we wanted to do something kind of along the lines of March of the Penguins.
Okay.
So it took like a full 180 from that. And it's pretty much at the end of the season that we decided to do that. And then Alexi worked his magic and edited the movie and made it work super well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you shot the segments, had a whole concept already in mind, didn't work. The segment's already done, and then you're like, "Fuck it, let's make a Western."
yeah, but it's a bit. Yeah. Basically, that's pretty much what happened. But
It's filmmaking, right? Being
Yeah.
adaptable.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Very adaptable. And then one thing though, which is very unfortunate that we didn't use, we had so many shots of Stan like acting out animals. We have this one shot of him in Japan, like where you like bamboo shoots. He's got like a panda goggle sock on, and he actually looks like a panda with a beard, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then we had a prairie dog one that was pretty good.
We still have them.
Yeah,
No,
you can
we'll
release
post
this
them at
at
some point.
BTS.
We'll post them at some point for BTS, but yeah, it just didn't make it the movie. But yeah, just adaptable, I think is the name of the game.
I would like to say one thing about the film that I was very stoked to see that used to be more common in films in the past. And, as we said, Alexi kind of had the creative behind this, so we didn't see I didn't see the film till pretty much the end. There's a banger crash segment at the end.
Oh,
Remember
sick.
all the old ski flicks used to have
Yeah.
real good crash segments.
It was like some of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, so you like
As
you
the
were,
credits
Well,
roll.
it's like people can relate to that. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
cool, these guys do eat shit. They're
Yeah.
human. They're not just landing everything.
the crash segments are awesome. Oh, so you put
So-
one in.
So he made a nice crash
Nice.
segment for the film.
Sick.
Sick. Didn't
Love a
didn't-
crash
What was this
segment.
movie that didn't like? What was it called? Sunny. Didn't they have like a crash segment
Seven
to
Sunny
start?
Days?
Sunny, that was from
Level One.
Yeah. It wasn't like a good like.
I feel like most of the movies back then, like I feel like there's a crash segment, like either it was in the credits or like sometimes in the middle of the movie
segment.
you'd have a crazy
Yeah.
crash segment. Do you remember like 13 back in the day?
Yeah.
From Poor Boys.
He might.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they had a crash segment like mid movie, was like full on,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was sick.
The
So,
one
kudos, buddy.
The
Yeah,
one
no,
I,
the
the one
crashing.
I remember like vividly, it's like Hugo Harrison never crashed, always stomped everything. And then I think it was in 7 Sunny Days.
No,
Wasn't that movie?
Claim.
it was easy. Or before that, I mean, yeah,
Anyways, he goes down and he goes down so hard.
At like 50 miles an hour.
Huge crash.
Yeah.
probably like 12
tomahawks.
Insane.
Head feet.
Yeah.
Beauty crash.
Anyways, that's all.
Well, I'm
I
glad
wanna
you
say
put it
there.
in because like, yeah, you're right. You don't really see him that much anymore.
Right.
Dude,
You know,
I mean,
where it's like a
also
legit
with-
segment
with
of like
Big
crash after
mountain,
crash after crash.
With big mountain skiing specifically, the crashes are almost just as mind blowing as the skiing. Like
Right.
the
They can be
tomahawks
super
are
horrendous and like
especially if you're someone who's never been in that environment, like to wrap their head around someone getting tomahawked or just ragdolled down the face of a mountain is just like so. I think it's cool to see, and especially if the person's fine.
Not usually cool to go through.
No.
Yeah.
Eating
No.
shit is the worst thing in the world, but yeah, they
But
are
it's
very
part of it.
entertaining to watch. But it is part of it. Yeah, it's just playing your odds, and they maybe you'll have a 30% chance of making down 50%, but I think most of us try to.
Don't think I'd be dropping in if I had a 30% chance of making it to the bottom.
No,
I would disagree. I've skied with you before.
I like it. I like
It's a
it.
second shot. fired.
Slinging mud,
I
dude.
love it. I love it.
Slinging
However,
mud.
with that, I will say that I've thought that a lot skiing with Stan. He's like, I'm going to go do this or hit that. And I'm like, looking at him like,
Yeah.
good luck, buddy. And then he just goes and stomps it. And you're like, this guy is very good. So
So
Hats off to you,
so
sir.
what did
He
you
ate
learn?
50
What did you
munchkins.
learn then when you were like, "You want that line?" And I'm like, "No, there's no way you can make it out the bottom of that line." And you're like, "Oh, I'll go ski it."
Yeah.
And then he doesn't
What-
make it out the bottom of the line.
what? I made it out the bottom. I just didn't land.
True.
Actually, I did land.
That's the opening shot
just
of the movie.
not on my feet.
Opening shot of the movie, pretty much.
You always land. When
That's
people
true.
say I didn't land,
Gravity, bro.
Gravity is always there.
Facts, dude.
You're gonna land.
Facts, dude. Isaac Newton.
Till we
believe
start
said
skiing on the
that.
moon, then maybe you won't land.
Facts.
or Mars.
Or Mars.
Or Mars.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, there's a 30-kilometer high mountain on Mars.
Yeah.
We'll have to scope that
Alon
out for
wants
the
to go to
next
Mar-
film.
I just finished
For
his
the next
recent one
film.
on Rogan. He's in, dude. He's going to Mars.
Oh,
Going to
Elon.
Mars.
Elon.
Someone's gonna be skiing on Mars.
Yeah, we've been talking to him a bit about
you should-
making
yeah.
a ski movie on Mars.
Yeah, that's
He'd probably be into it.
that's next year.
Probably be
Talking to
into it.
Musk about it.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was actually talking about Mars recently with a buddy, and just like you've had these dreams of like you're skiing and then you toss a trick and then you're just spinning forever, and all of a sudden like you like fall out of the sky and you wake up like. But imagine being on Mars, you could actually do that and just like
You just float in the atmosphere.
Imagine
just
you
like a winch or something, and you just go out in the air and do like I don't know, 100 corks.
Quintupled cork, never to be seen again.
My next spin could be my last one. Just spin for eternity.
So I don't want to take up all your guys' time because I think we're already pushing the limit here.
Oh, we're good.
You sure?
Yeah.
We're
What's
fine.
the time you
Yeah,
guys
we don't
need?
have to be over there till 6:30.
You guys want
We're chilling.
more brewskis?
I'll have another beer.
Can you get? I'm in. Can you get me one? Por favor.
Yeah.
Thank you, Garrett.
I'm good. I'm doing a sober year, but I'll have another seltzer.
There you go. Yeah, I'll take another beer, please.
Oh, I've got one already. Good.
Una más cerveza, por favor.
You're going a whole year?
Jan 1st to Jan 1st.
We
Nice,
tried to
dude.
break him really hard in Japan, which is quite mean of us because it is something very respectable. And even one time, we were at the bar and wanted a soda water, and I gave him no, I didn't give you a gin.
Soda water, and you got me a gin and tonic.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Or you got me a Ryan ginger.
Ryan Ginger, and he didn't fall for it. So
One-
kudos.
Well, I almost fell for it.
A year is very respectable, dude. If you make it the whole way, it seems like you're more than you're down home stretch right
I'm
now.
almost
yeah.
11 months in.
Yeah, you're home stretch
Should be
now.
able to do it.
That's awesome, man.
I
I
haven't learned from the challenge stories. This guy doesn't back down from
Oh,
challenges.
and this is actually I
he's
do have,
So that's why
he's a
been
Wim
eating-
Hof
I
master.
do
too,
have a
man.
bet on it, and it's only for $20, which is pretty lame. But
I would
Dude,
love
your
to see-
prices are
nonetheless.
fantastic.
I would love.
I want to get involved.
I would love to see a spreadsheet of all the bets you've made.
The craziest part is that his prices didn't actually go up with inflation, and they went down.
Not adjusted for
I
inflation.
made $80 today. That's pretty good. I was thinking $80 in 25 minutes. I mean, you need a really good job to do that.
That is true.
I
Doctor's
usually try and
wages.
do ones that are like feasible. At least I think they're feasible. Because if I don't, then I'm doing something stupid and not getting paid for it, which has happened before. There was
Like what?
I
Like what?
there was a whole entire cake. We were at like a buffet style, and there was a whole cake that no one ate. And they're like, okay, if you can eat the whole cake, but we're gonna cover it in mustard.
Oh my god.
And I had a certain amount of time, and I didn't make it within the time.
Oh. And
And
how
I-
much was
and
it
then-
for? How much? What was the payout?
I think it was $60 for the cake, and I didn't
you
get
ever-
paid, and it sucked.
Well, actually, sorry, I forgot
Wait,
about
hold
your
on, hold on,
$120
hold on a second, hold on,
bet. I was
hold on,
going to say,
hold on.
have you
Wait,
ever
wait,
gone
wait, wait,
over
wait,
$100?
So a whole cake with mustard on it,
Yeah, covered in mustard. It was disgusting.
and you didn't fucking get the money?
No, I didn't get the money. I didn't finish the cake in time.
How much
I
cake was
finished the
left?
cake, but I didn't. I was like a minute over the time they gave me.
Oh my
The
god.
terms of the contract.
And whoever
said
made that
you
deal
had to finish-
was like, I would have just given you the money. Like that's just eating the
I think
cake
there's like-
in itself
yeah.
is an impressive
Shitty
feat.
friends.
I was gonna say at a certain point today, this is like the first bet I've actually got Stan to do something. I've heard all the stories, so I'm always being like, "Dude, will you eat this? I'll give you. I got 30 on it. Who's got money? Who's got money?
yeah.
Anyone want to see Stan do this? Because I've heard all these stories. But at a certain point today, I was like, "Oh, he's getting my $20. Like
Okay.
value and effort.
That is,
Like whether he makes it or
All
not.
right, so
like
all right, so
I'm in.
So next year when you guys come back for your film tour again, I'll shoot you guys a message and then I'll clear it with you.
Yeah, let's
And
get a
we're
real
gonna
pop
do-
going.
we're
Get
gonna
people
do
in the
a
office.
Food challenge on
Food
the podcast.
challenge on the
No,
podcast.
we're
we're gonna make you over $120.
just don't eat breakfast. You'll be
Okay.
fine.
Yeah. So you,
Maybe
so you don't eat
125,
anything, so you
but-
know it's coming. And then we're gonna do a live. We'll talk about your new movie, which will be sweet, and then we'll do the challenge during the pod. Fuck yeah!
Love it. I haven't done one on a podcast yet.
Oh my god! I'm gonna come up with something fucking really clever.
I like it. I like it.
I'll make it worth your while.
I mean,
I remember like watching movies back in the day, and I remember seeing Mark Abma eat they did an egg salad competition. I think it was like, do you remember how many egg salad you had to do? I actually talked to Mark about it
I
one
could
time.
see
We were
that.
biking, and he puked everywhere on the balcony afterwards or something. but
What? He had to eat
egg salads.
salad?
It was like it was like this whole table full of egg salads
Oh,
it's
at like summer camp.
yeah.
Yeah, pulled it off.
Is there anything off the
that's
table?
That's Abmine.
I mean,
He's
I'm not
probably
gonna make
making
it super gross, but is there anything that you're like, I don't like that?
His price is a little higher.
Nuts, so I mean,
Okay,
I don't
so
think
nuts.
Those would be that would be a stupid bet, anyways.
That would be.
Oh, you
that-
could.
you'd
You
have
could be
to
like,
offer
could you eat
$130?
How much is it going to cost for me to go to the hospital?
Yeah. No, we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't
Depends
do
if
that.
in the U.S. or Canada.
We got a year to brainstorm.
True.
Guys.
This is gonna be
That's
good.
a good point.
This is gonna be really good.
2 liters.
So a more serious question while we're still here drinking beers. Out of all the movies that you guys have made so far, and don't cop out answer because you have the newest one and you're promoting it, which is great. But what's been the most fun project that you guys have done?
I'd say it boils down to a trip, probably more
More than the actual project itself.
more than a project.
Yeah. Okay, so that's fine. So what's been the best trip as a group?
I think it's maybe separate answers for everyone.
Alexi,
That's a really hard one, actually.
pull that mic up.
I've got my favorite project we've done. I don't know if it was our best movie, but to me, it's the one I enjoyed the most. It was Before Blank, and it was like all of us as kids, and then it transitions into us skiing now.
Oh, I
And
watched that.
And I think that's so cool because it
It's
like
cool.
kind of shows like it's crazy how a bunch of people could have such a different start to skiing and
Right.
still have like a similar outcome to the end. Like even standing right here, I grew up ski racing. He grew up doing freestyle, and he was out of Michigan, like weekend warrior, and then loved skiing. And then now he's like the most passionate skier
Right.
out of the three of us for sure.
Yeah.
Like last year, I went to hang out with him for a month in Tahoe, and he skied. I think he skied every single day I was there. You took one day off, maybe. Yeah, and I
Damn,
took like
kinda my standard.
6 days off because my knee's sore and I'm weak, I guess.
And you have challenges to do.
Yeah.
I'm
He's too busy
and
doing
I'm
his
busy doing
challenges.
challenges.
I'm sorry, you only have one hobby.
I gotta make some money today.
So I thought that was the coolest project. And then my favorite trip, the skiing wasn't amazing, but Chatter Creek, we just did it for this year's movie. It's actually the ender in our movie this year, the ending segment. And I think that's so fun having we had a good camping setup, and we're in a place where none of us have skied a ton. I had never skied the Alpine there. I've skied, gone cat skiing there, but never been skiing in the Alpine. And it was a lot of fun.
Chatter Creek.
And plus, we got to do my birthday there, and we went in the ice caves and had a ton of fun in there.
Sick. Well, so just like where is that?
Again, Chatter Creek. It's in the interior
Yeah,
BC. It's like
Chatter Creek interiors.
right. It's near Golden.
You're Golden. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I've been to Golden. It's kind of a funny place, Golden. It's really weird, actually.
Yeah.
It's like a truck stop town.
Truck stop, but also like you go into town
And
a
then-
bit more, and it becomes a bit more skiing
And then you go up, and then you go up, to, and there's this
Up to
massive
Kicking Horse is
resort.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
There's a free ride world tour stop there.
Yeah.
That view off that restaurant at the top, it's like
Amazing.
yeah, it's like a villain lives there or something like that. Doesn't it feel like that? Like a James Bond
Yeah,
villain
it
lives
does.
there?
And it feels a little like you're in the Alps a little bit too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. 100%. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. So what's yours?
No worries. My favorite movie, I think I'm gonna go with Stan on this one, and yeah, Before Blank. It was actually my first project I was working with Jeff Thomas on, and just seeing the whole process and from start to finish, was a good learning curve. It was my first kind of experience getting the whole start to finish from beginning of the summer into final output basically. And just the nature of the movie with the old stuff. Remember we got everyone's tapes from when they're kids, and
So
we emailed
cool.
the moms or the dad to get all the archive footage, and that was super cool. And then I think favorite trip, there's been quite a lot over the past bunch of years, but we did a trip to Stewart, BC with Stan, and that was one of the crazier trips. It was a month camping. We just brought all of our stuff out there. We're camping at the base of the glaciers in a valley, and there's grizzly tracks around, and you just get through these crazy glaciers on your sled between crevasses, and then just the vertical relief from the glaciers to the mountains was 3,000 foot faces, and
Sick.
just the magnitude of the mountains when you got there. It took 2 weeks to get used to, just to the size. And you get on top of things, and you're we're not gonna ski down this.
It's funny because like the first few days we were looking for mini golf, and for those of you that don't know what that is, it's like shorter slopes to ski that are less consequential, and there was like none of that. Everything was just massive faces, and we were like a little bit out of our element, but the place was insane. It was so cool to be there.
Nice.
And like, oh yeah, we'll go over there. It won't take that long. We'll just go across the glacier, and then you watch your buddy like start snowmobiling across the glacier. Like, holy smokes! Within like 5 minutes, they're like a tiny little dot, and they're not not even a quarter of the way across the glacier. Like, never mind, that's gonna take us a little longer to get
just
there.
like the sheer vastness of everything.
Yeah, it's some of the biggest glaciers in the world over there. The Frank Mackey Glacier. Remember, like Salmon Glacier as well. We're fully pinned, and you'd be fully pinned for like a half hour, 40 minutes almost to get from like one spot to the other.
Wow.
And it was wild.
That's cool.
Yeah. 65 miles. And I remember we had all our glacier gear, like great, like, you know, harness, ice screws, like everything to, if shit hits the fan, like go rescue a buddy or something. And then we meet these sledders. They're a bit more redneck. They're like, what are you guys climbers or something? We're like, you guys climbers or something? We're like, no, like, I don't know. There's crevasses around. It's like, yeah, just don't fall in them. Like, what? Okay, cool.
We're going to keep going. Away, they're like, those guys are dead.
Like, yeah, well, my cousin fell in one.
Starter jackets and everything.
They're gone. It's funny.
Cool. So I got to say my favorite film, I'm with you. Tales from Cascadia is my favorite film.
It's a great film.
That we've done so far. My favorite, I think film trip is so hard to say. You know, I've had so many fun trips with these guys. We've all become best friends. You know,
I'm your colleague.
We're the three best friends.
And that anyone could have.
But I think one that stands out to me was 2 years ago, Feel Real, and we did a camping trip and just being, you know, sliding all the logistics. I love problem solving, so like all the logistics of getting a camp set up in the high mountains and dragging sleds and getting snowmobiles stuck, and it's just a shit show to get up in these places and set up a camp for a week plus. And then we had just all-time conditions. We showed up and it was not very good, just a couple inches of fresh snow. And when we're trying to ski pillows and whatnot, you know, you need some decent snow. You need like a couple feet at least. And I think within the second night, it just hammered on us. And then we just had epic conditions, skied rad lines, rowdy lines, and yeah, it was awesome. It was one of my favorite trips.
We've done as a group now. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. Started in ski basically like in college. So I'm 38 now. I've been like working in ski retail since I was like 20, 21. So it's been a good run. So we've done a lot of cool, fun trips too over the years. For me, one that stands out just because like conditions, the time of the year, and like just how it all worked out is we went heli skiing one year with K2 up in like Mazama. I think it was like North Cascade.
Washington, yeah.
Yeah, Washington.
Yeah. And it was the end of the year, and so we were the only group, which was awesome. So there was no one else there, and we were staying on this tiny little like resort like next to like where the helicopter is, and because it was the day we went was the last day of the year for the operation. So there was no one there. We like had like a little hut. It was like the place was completely, maybe like one employee was like working like the main lodge. So it was our group, which was like some people from K2 and then Ski Monster people. It was a pretty big group. But that was it. So we had like the big outdoor like hot tub like to ourselves, like not a cloud in the sky, like, you know, like you're in a planetarium, you know. It was so sick. And then the next day, because there's no other people, we had the helicopter to ourselves. So it was like two groups, one helicopter, Bluebird. That was by far the best trip because like everyone skied well. You were just with your friends, you know, and you had like a personal like helicopter driver, which was crazy. That's probably mine.
I'm gonna change mine. It wasn't Chatter Creek. It was Century Lodge.
Okay,
it was awesome. Yeah. I kind of forgot about that. I don't know why we were just talking about it, but the terrain up there.
There's a lot. The
of terrain up there was awesome, and then we got
so many memories.
I'd never hung out with Hoji much, and of course I grew up like watching him in ski movies and idolized him.
So he's the best skier that I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, the guy's
so
unreal.
Because we used to do Powder Magazine ski tests and then free skier tests, and at Powder he would always come, you know, him and his crew, and then basically like, we do laps, you get paired up with forefront or whatever. And watching that person ski, it's like, he's just floating.
Literally.
He just floats around.
Yeah, he's fun to watch.
It's really, really fun. And even just in a resort, you're like, how does he do that? It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy cool to watch ski. It's wild.
And he's a funny, quirky individual, and super knowledgeable, and he loves like nerding out on tech.
Yep.
Trying to figure out how to make something better, how to do this, how to do that. It's cool.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, super cool dude, and a really fun skier to watch, for sure. Yeah, that heli trip, man, that was really rad. That was rad. That was the first time I it was pretty cool because it was the last day, and so we're getting the helicopter to go out of there, and the pilot is like, he was like really calm all day, like excellent pilot. You don't really think about it. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. They tell you to get out, they tell you to get in, they get down, whatever. And at the end, he like looks back because it was the last flight out for the season. And he was like, he said something to the guy who was Russian. He said something to like our guide, and the guy like looks back at us. He's like, it's the last ride out. He says, do you guys mind if he has a little bit of fun? And I'm like, no, I don't care. Sure. What does that mean? Literally. So he kind of looks at us first, he pulls up and like, how he just like dips down the mountain. Like, and you're like falling off the mountain. And that was fucking awesome. Cause you're literally all day long. It's like a tourist, and then literally like, you let the leash off the guy, and the guy was literally like laughing, and he's just like taking us out of there. It was pretty rad. Hell yeah. That was pretty rad.
Pretty amazing how well they know those machines.
It's crazy.
It's insane. Like,
it's crazy.
I've been in one where he's like flying down like a pretty steep valley, and like I want to say the rotor blades were like no further than 5 feet away from trees. And he's just like ripping down the valley, and you're like, oh my god!
Yeah, and you're like, you're in the machine. You're watching him do it, and you're like, holy shit, dude!
Like,
it's pretty cool.
I trust you. I think.
I mean, you have to. you got in there. Like you have to trust them.
I guess.
All right, I think we could wrap. That was good. You have any more questions for these guys?
Well, Alexi, I can't do a podcast with you and not talk about every day is a Saturday.
Yeah, we came to Boston.
Yeah, there was
You did.
I mean, that's like one of my favorite movies of all time, behind Major League.
Behind Major League, yeah. But imagine they had the title song in Every Day's a Saturday, though.
Oh, dude, the in Dane's segment, wild thing. No. Two favorite segments: the Boston Urban segment with Matt Walker and Nick Martini.
Hell yeah.
Unreal. And then the Ski Bowl park shoot. You had
The zero spin.
one shot.
Yeah.
It was the best shot of the whole segment.
Hell yeah,
I
thank
can't
you.
believe they did you dirty by only showing one angle.
Yeah. I wasn't there for a very long time. We had to leave that shoot and go to another shoot in Sweden with Salomon and MSP that year.
With Henrik and Bobby
Yeah,
Brown.
exactly.
Because I was going to say, like, those three very memorable segments from the same year, which is pretty unreal.
Hell yeah.
And that was like, not to get like too fanboy, but like I was 12. That was like the peak of my ski movie watching. So like, yeah, just dope. I'd love to hear any stories you have there. And then let you know that everybody talks about Tom Walsh's zero spin and turbo, but yours is right there with it.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Just
Okay.
wanted to say that.
Thank you.
I also like that when that movie came out, Ghost and Stuff was in that fucking movie. And I remember like listening to Ghost and Stuff for like a couple years, but like before that, and the Ghost stuff, and I watched the segment like the first time. I was like, "Is this fucking Deadmau5 in the fucking ski movie?"
And then
Like, this is sick.
dubstep was so like, I mean, it just exploded. I feel like at that point, and it was like, I mean, it was pretty fitting the ski movie for like
It
high
was
action.
super fitting.
and,
It was
like,
awesome.
just
It was
on.
it was sick.
Yeah.
But I just like going into remember the first time watching it. I think we were at some premiere somewhere in Nashua because that's where we were at the time, New Hampshire. And I remember like it came on. I thought like the DJ. You're like, is it on? I'm like, oh, it's in the movie.
Yeah.
Ghost Stuff's in the ski movie. That was for me. That was like a fanboy electronic music fanboy moment at that time. I was like, that's fucking sick.
That's awesome. But yeah, thanks for the memory lane.
Yeah. Of course,
It's always
man.
like, I mean, it's been so long and it's been so many different like careers, it feels like.
Yeah.
Or so many, like 2 different careers or 2 different lives. But yeah, I definitely,
Chapters.
That
different
was
chapters.
that
The
was a
park
big
life
year for
was
you.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even have any questions or anything. I just wanted to shout it out, give it an acknowledgement. But yeah, was that your only other time in Boston? Would be my other question.
I mean, I've been through here a lot with my family. We've been going down to Cape Cod like every summer when I was a kid. For,
nice.
I don't know, maybe we've gone like 16, 17 times.
Nice.
Okay.
Whereabouts on the Cape?
And around Orleans.
Cool.
And like
Nice.
Brewster and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd go to Nickerson State Park every year.
Yeah.
Good time.
Yeah, it was great. And then I've been around the city a bit. But yeah, the real like other time I've been here was actually like more as a grown up was for that urban segment, and that was 14 years ago.
Yeah.
That's quite a while ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah, time flies.
Wow.
The only thing I wanted to just add or ask is I wanted to ask Josh how his zero spin was coming these days.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, it's about as good as yours, Stan.
So it's about dog shit. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure.
Just to confirm,
So I have the second best zero spin in this room.
I highly wouldn't doubt that. If you see Daiek and I ski switch, I could probably for sure
Run for
I've never
cover.
seen you ski, and I think I could say yes. You probably do.
All right.
Yeah,
dope.
you- no,
I'll be waiting by the phone for the movie next year. I can do it.
Nice, you could be my stunt double.
Yo,
We'll have
did you
to
guys
get-
see my zero spin? Why'd you look?
Shit, he looks a bit
6'5"?
taller.
We're gonna have to get a quad XL kit on you, make it look baggy.
get you a Sasquatch outfit, dude, and get you out there. That might be a good shtick for you.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
like it.
We should do that this year.
Sasquatch outfit. All right, I'm down.
Have you hit something?
Yeah, I like it.
A lot
I like
of
it.
Sasquatch sightings. All right. Okay. This has been great. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And have fun tonight at the premiere. Yeah, good luck on the road.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Peace, y'all.
Thank you very much.
Later.